Good morning. I've only been introduced to Esther, Jerry, and Abraham since June of this year. I found the book Money and the Law of Attraction just somewhere online and read it and got back into a career that was so good to me that everything seemed to happen overnight. I got my brilliant inspiration for growing a business. I have an incredible partner, and everything is just happening very fast, but for my personality, still not fast enough. So
we just want to interrupt just briefly here and just put all of this in context. You had been sifting and asking for a while, and you had a vortex ripe and ready to be received and realized by you. You read the book, it resonated with you, and what resonance is finding a vibrational frequency that equals the frequency of your source. So you found that resonance. So for a while, no resistance. You kind of set it aside because you were preoccupied with all of this new resonance you were feeling, and ideas began flowing rapidly for you. And as the ideas began flowing rapidly for you, then things began moving faster than they had before. And then there is a pattern for most to then step back into old worrisome habits rather than continuing the perpetuation of the new habits. And the first step into that perpetuation of resistance is the conversation that you are about to have.
Yes.
Sometimes it helps to use a little determination, a little willpower, to just not be so ready to say, well, it is my habit usually to fuss and worry about things, or it is my habit. Because while there may be habits that you have, there's no point in pointing out habits that are not helpful.
Well, this brings me to the question of deliberate creation and focus. You attract into your life what you're focusing on. And then another concept is if you let it go and relax, it'll come to you easier.
Well, you just talked about the 3 steps. Step 1 is defining, focusing. And the step 3 is allowing what you've already focused upon to come into your experience. Here's the way to hear this. And since you're new to this, there are others also. You'll appreciate these perfect words. The vibration of the asking, or the question, and the vibration of the answer, or the solution, are different frequencies. So you ask from one frequency, but if you stay in the asking mode, you hold what you're asking for away, because you're asking for it from a place of not having it. That's what your impression is. That's what your experience is. That's where you're standing. And so you ask and let it go. Ask and consider it having been asked, and then chill out, because you only have to. This is hard for humans to hear. You don't have to keep asking. We heard you.
That's where I keep.
We heard you. We lined up everything possible for you. And when you keep asking, you just keep holding yourself apart from the answer or the solution that you're reaching for.
So can I walk away from it emotionally for a little bit and do something else? I'm afraid. I know you just said it, but I'm afraid to let go of it because then it won't stay in momentum. I'm afraid if I stop the concentration
then you missed
on it.
this part. That you ask, it's in this vibrational reality, and source is tending to it, and it will remain there until you allow it in. And for most people, it remains there long after you never allow it in. It remains there for you. It remains there for you. People say, I fear that, and fear is that emotion of resistance. I fear that I will get to the dock and my ship will have already sailed and I will have missed it. And we say, there's another and another and another and another and another and another. There's a never-ending stream of ideas that will flow to you, just waiting for one to hit you at the right moment, which means at the right vibrational, emotional place. It's not going anywhere.
So if I let it go and relax and let it happen, it's still going to happen. I don't have to.
Only if you relax and let it go will it happen, not if. Only. Because you can't stand in worry about something and let it in. You see, every subject is two subjects, wanted and absence of it. And you can tell by the way you feel which end of the stick your vibration is about right now. So you used words like fear or worry. Fear or worry means you're on the end of the stick where you're holding it off. And it's sort of a perpetual cycle, because you fear it won't come, and then it doesn't come, and then you fear it'll keep not coming, and then it keeps not coming, and then you fear. But you've got another pattern going. You just said to us, there were things I wanted. I returned to my dream occupation. Things moved very rapidly for me. That's the momentum that you don't have to stand still and do nothing. Tell that story over and over and over and over again. Get preoccupied with what is working, you see. Because you cannot appreciate and worry at the same time. You can't love and worry at the same time. You can't positively anticipate and negatively anticipate at the same time. It's one or the other. So we're not asking you to just withdraw and crawl under a rock, although in many cases it would be helpful. We're suggesting that you do what you did in the beginning of this conversation and just do it until, like our friend just now, it's so natural that those words just fall out of you easily and you find yourself consistently there.
Thank you. I loved his question. I've never heard anybody actually from that point of, I did everything and now what? And he answered that. Conversation was the now what.
We love having that conversation because there will always be another now what. Because the way it works is contrast causes you to clarify and ask for something that you're not living. So there is this gap between what you want and where you are that you have to deal with by chilling out. So as you chill out and think about what it will be like rather than like what it is, and anticipate rather than worry, you close that vibrational gap, and now there's no gap between what you're asking for and what you're doing vibrationally, and now that means your point of attraction is right in keeping with your vortex, and it flows right into your experience. Ideas come, manifestations happen. And so now you're living what you were formerly wanting to live. Now you're living it. But along with the receiving of that full-blown manifestation, you also received a new set of contrasting experiences that cause you to launch another desire that you're not a match to. There's a gap between what you've just asked for and what you currently perceive. So you've got some work to do, some imagining, some chilling, some not fussing, some chilling. So you close that gap again. And now what you're asking for and your vibrational frequency are in the same place, and so it flows into your experience as you just described, flows into your experience effortlessly as our friend just described. And now you are the manifested version of what was something that you were asking for. And along with that full-blown manifestation comes another set of contrasting experiences which causes you to ask yet for more. But you're not a match to it. There's a gap. So the work never stops, but the worry can stop, because after a while you can say, hey, I get how this works. Life shows me things that I didn't know I want that I now know that I do want. And I'm not a vibrational match to it because I've never had it before, and I'm used to only offering vibration based upon what I have. I usually offer most of my vibration, it's true of most people, based upon what I'm observing. Now I have to conjure and imagine and appreciate. I have to focus more deliberately, but I'm getting better and better and better at it. And so as you focus more deliberately, you close the gap more easily. But you will never be gapless. You will always be reaching beyond where you now are. That is a promise. It is a necessity of the eternal nature of that which we all are. There can't be more and perfection and completion all at the same time. And there is always more, always more, always more, always more. So you have brought us to the most important conversation ever, and that is, how can I be standing without the fullness of everything that I want and not mess up my vibration by my awareness of the absence of something that I want? We say, by remembering all of the presence of things that you do want, and by acknowledging I am the creator of my own reality, and law of attraction is fair always, and I have the ability to focus, and this is the most important thing, The whole point of all of it anyway is for the way you feel. And isn't it delicious to feel anticipation? Yeah. Don't you love the feeling of anticipation? Have you ever anticipated something and then it happened and then the next day you're sort of bored? Because the anticipation was really sweet, wasn't it? The anticipation. And you can keep yourself in a state of chronic anticipation. You know what the mantra of the universe is? Now what? Yeah. Now what? Now what? Oh, that was good. Now what? Oh, this is good. Now what? What more? What more? You were willing to be born into a little tiny body that couldn't walk or talk. You didn't have any teeth. You didn't have good balance, because you knew that this environment would inspire, now what? Now what? And it will never cease inspiring, now what? No matter how many wonderful things you are accomplishing or living. And the where's mine crowd will be accusing you of greed in your now what from your ivory tower of lovely life experience. But you're never going to be able to stop saying, now what, now what, now what, now what, now what. You know why? Because we're in your head saying, now what, now what, now what, now what. We're eternal. We're eternal beings. Now what? Now what? Now what? Now what could Congress do? Talk to each other. That'd be nice. Appreciate each other. That'd be nice. Now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? Oh, when the possibilities feel unlimited within you, now what is so sweet. When they don't, it's, oh, now what?
This is still incredible, because now I'm retracing the steps that you're asking me to focus on, and I remember I'd heard of you and Abraham for years, and like I said, just got introduced through the book. Then I went on the web page and saw events, and wow, you're coming to town. I mean, that's how fast it happened, and now to be in this chair. And I remember saying, if I ever got in the hot seat, I wanted to ask, is there such thing as delusion? I mean, we're creating we're creating experience here. We're
in human
imagining.
terms, yes. In human terms, looking beyond what is always considered delusion. And that's what the definition of delusion would be.
For our purposes, it's a good thing, but they write off people who have grandiose ideas as delusional, and I want to be delusional. I want to think of things that aren't thought of before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's funny, but I mean that's where my creativity comes from, is going, well, I don't like what is, so what can I make? And that's where we came across the idea we're working on.
The thing is, the greatest creators on your planet were always dreaming of something beyond what was. And when they were able to accomplish it, then they are called masters. But when you're still in the gap, they call you delusional. You see, so the world only wants to recognize your brilliance after you have maintained your positive expectation and accomplished the consistent frequency which allows it until it manifests into your experience. You just can't listen to the peanut gallery, because at the same time that they're calling you delusional, once you accomplish it, then they call you greedy for having more than they have. So you just sort of have to leave everybody else out of the equation and master your own gap. Take pleasure from your gap. That really is the way we would approach life. Ooh, to want something that I don't have, how fresh and sweet that is. Knowing that I can have it, it's sweet. Believing that I can't have it, it's sour. But to want something and believe in the possibility of it, to believe that all children can go to bed fed, that's a dream worth dreaming. But to believe that you have enough to buy whatever you want, that's a dream worth dreaming too. In other words, you don't have to feel bad about the things that you are personally advocating, because there is no one who advocates for you more powerfully than the source within you. And if you're not in alignment with that advocation, you're denying yourself the very beingness that is you see.